Certainly, if you see me here today, I assure you that it is not a coincidence that this message has been miraculously arranged for you. At this moment, among those chosen by God, you will be guided by an extraordinary and invisible hand. God will watch over you from the time before the sun shines. You are very lucky to have seen this video. At that time, you had never seen the sunlight. Everything around you was only darkness, a strange silence that you could not explain. There was no space, no time, only emptiness, an undefined space that you could not perceive with any of the senses. But it seemed there was something greater than you, something invisible yet felt deep within the soul. Then, one day, you heard your first cry. It was not a cry of fear or pain, but a resonating cry, as if the beginning of a journey that you could not fully understand. That cry was not human, nor was it from any creature you knew. It was the cry of existence, of a soul beginning to perceive the world. But when you cried, you felt something strange. Although you couldn't see anything, you sensed the presence of a power greater than everything, something called God. You did not know why you thought of him, but you felt his closeness, as if he were listening, present in every moment. In the endless darkness, you felt warmth that you had never known. It was not a physical temperature, but a feeling of safety, as if an invisible hand were gently comforting you. He did not speak, did not appear clearly before your eyes, but you knew he was there, in every corner of this existence. As a child, you did not understand that presence. Why him? Why did you feel comforted in such an empty space? But then you gradually realized that it was he who guided you through each moment, from the time you felt the pain of life to when you began to understand yourself. One day, when you began to see faint rays of light from somewhere far away, you knew that it was the light of truth, the light of the presence of God. It was not as dazzling as sunlight, but it carried an invisible warmth, as if you were being enveloped in unconditional love. You still couldn't see everything clearly, but you could feel it. Every breath you took contained the life that he had given to you. As you grew up, you began to face the challenges of life. Every decision, every step was accompanied by doubts and fears. But in those moments, you felt a comfort in your soul, as if an invisible hand were gently comforting you, and you would remember him, who was always by your side, even though you could not see him clearly. That was how God influenced your mind, with an undeniable presence, with a deep sense of peace that you couldn't explain with reason. Day by day, you began to perceive that presence more clearly. It was a kind of love that no one could match. A love that asked for nothing, required no explanation, only presence and protection. He did not force you to do this or that, but he always guided you, helping you see the light in the darkness, helping you find the path when you were lost. God never forced you to believe, but he was always present, always ready for you to return when you felt lost. And you realized that, even before you saw the sunlight, he had always been the light in your life. He was the source of life, the anchor for your soul. And when you began to truly see the light, when the rays of the sun shone upon everything around, you realized that this light was merely a reflection of an eternal light, an immortal presence that you had felt long ago. The light of God always existed within you, and you understood that, whether you saw it or not, he would always be there, the guiding light for your life. In the initial darkness of birth, you were guided by him, and now, whether the sunlight shines on you or not, you know that he will always be the true light in your life. With each passing day, you feel his presence more clearly. Though you haven't seen him with your eyes, something beyond explanation is guiding you. This presence is not something external, but a deep feeling, like a whisper in the soul, reminding you that you are never truly alone. Growing up in this ambiguity, you began to face the outside world. You met new people, encountered new situations, and faced new challenges. And each time you confronted fear, each time you felt lost, you felt the invisible hand of God gently comforting you. No words, just a sense of peace, a protection that you cannot explain with words. When you suffered, you felt God's closeness. Though you couldn't see Him, you felt Him listening to every sigh, every tear that fell. Once again, you realize that God doesn't need to speak. He only needs to be there, beside you, helping you overcome the pain. One day, as you wandered alone, you looked up at the sky and saw a thin ray of light piercing through the thick clouds. It wasn't sunlight, but you knew it was a sign. That ray of light was like a reminder, an affirmation that even though you couldn't see everything, His light was always present, even if only in some hidden corner. You continued forward, with the understanding that you didn't need to see everything clearly to believe in His presence. Just like when you were born, you didn't need to see the sunlight to feel that something greater was protecting you. And so, you continued your journey. The outside world isn't always beautiful. Challenges never stop appearing, and there are times when you feel tired, wanting to give up. Just when you were about to fall, God's presence appeared again, like a small flame in your soul, warming and encouraging you to rise. You couldn't see Him, but you knew He was there, in every breath, in every step you took. One day, when you stood at a crossroads in life, with difficult choices ahead, you heard a voice. It wasn't a sound from the outside, but a feeling, a whisper deep within your soul. The voice wasn't clear, but you understood that He was guiding you to follow the right path, the one leading to peace. One day, when you stood at a crossroads in life, with difficult choices ahead, you heard a voice. It wasn't a sound from the outside, but a feeling, a whisper deep within your soul. The voice wasn't clear, but you understood that He was guiding you to follow the right path, the one leading to peace. At that moment, you realized that His presence is not always something clear and easy to notice. Sometimes it is a vague feeling, a gentle guidance, but always present in your life. No matter how difficult life may be, no matter how much darkness surrounds you, you always feel a small light flickering within. That is He. You began to realize that life doesn't always require you to see everything to believe in what's happening. It is His invisible presence that makes you stronger, the true light that illuminates your soul. When you started trusting in that guidance, you felt freer, even though you couldn't see everything clearly. And one day, as you continued your journey, you realized that true light is not always something you can see with your eyes. His light, His presence, always exists within you, in your decisions, in moments of peace, in every step you take. That light doesn't need to shine brightly. It only needs to be within you, in your heart. And you know that you are never truly alone. When the sunlight finally shone, you realized that it was only a reflection of an eternal light, a light that never fades, even during times when you cannot see it. He is always with you, without needing to be clear, without needing a form, but you are certain that He is the source of life, the light, the one who guides your life. Time passed, and you realized that life is not as simple as you thought. It is a series of challenges, doubts, and paths that are never straight. But one special thing you always feel, even in the darkest moments, is the presence of Jesus. He is always there. Even though you cannot see Him, you feel that invisible closeness, and you know that you are not walking alone. There are times and moments of weakness when you felt lost in the vast world. You wondered if you were on the wrong path. Had you missed something important? But right at that moment, in the stillness of your soul, you heard a quiet voice in your heart. Don't worry, you are on the right path. That voice was not a clear piece of advice, but a warm feeling, like an invisible hug, comforting you in fear. Although you couldn't see Him, you knew that Jesus had always been there, guiding you through life's storms. One morning when you woke up in a small room, you felt a change in the air. The faint light filtered through the window, waking you from sleep. But this light was not like the bright sunlight. It was gentle and soft, like a reminder that, even though life is hard, there are always rays of light around, even if they are not always easy to see. You stepped outside and felt a gentle breeze. Everything around you seemed familiar, but it carried a beauty that you had never noticed before. The trees, the grass, the sky, Everything seemed to glow under that light, even though it was not the sunlight. You understood that the light of Jesus is not just a radiance from above, but a light that shines from within each of us. It doesn't need to be clear or dazzling. It is a gentle light, a light that we can only feel when our soul is at peace. And as you continue on, you no longer feel alone or lost. Though you cannot see him, you know that Jesus is always present in every moment, in every breath you take. That light does not come from the outside, but from within through love, forgiveness, and the patience he has sown in your heart. Life is still full of challenges. There are times when you feel weary, unsure of what to do next. But when the waves threaten to drown you, you feel an inexplicable resilience and encouragement. It is his presence, though invisible, yet powerful, that helps you stand firm, that keeps you from giving up. With each step, you begin to realize that light is not something you see with your eyes, but something you feel with your heart. Jesus is that light, always guiding, always protecting, even in moments when you cannot understand what is happening. One day, when you stand on a hilltop, looking out at the vast ocean ahead, you suddenly realize that this life is not a journey you take alone. You don't need to search for answers immediately. You just need to trust in his presence, knowing that everything will come at the right time. Under the vast sky, with a gentle breeze blowing through, you feel a profound peace. And in that moment, you understand that the light you've been searching for is not something you can grasp with your hands, but something you've carried within you your entire life. His presence never leaves you. Each day that passes, you only need to trust in him, knowing that he is always there, within you, in your heart. From that point on, you no longer fear. You no longer need to see the sunlight or anything outside to feel the life. The true light, his light, shines within you, and you know that even in moments of darkness, that light will never go out. With each passing day, you feel the invisible presence of him more clearly, even though you've never seen him clearly. An extraordinary sense of peace envelops you, as if he is by your side, without needing to be present in front of your eyes, yet still guiding you through each step of life. One night when it was late, you sat alone, gazing at the dark sky. You felt a deep sadness in your heart. Feelings of helplessness and loneliness sometimes arise, as if everything in life is distant and out of reach. But right then, you suddenly sensed an unusual stillness, as if someone was beside you, embracing you with a wonderful comfort. There were no words, just the presence of an invisible and powerful love, like a soft light shining through the darkness. You didn't fully understand this presence, but you knew that it was his guidance. He didn't need to appear brightly or loudly. His presence was like a gentle breeze, a dim light, always there beside you whenever you needed it most. Then, one morning, you woke up with a strange feeling. You didn't know why, but you felt a strong sense of faith rising within you. You didn't need to see the sunlight to feel that you were not alone. You began to believe that he had always been there, in the darkness and the light, in peaceful moments as well as in challenges. That feeling gradually became a part of you. Though life is not always easy, you no longer feel afraid when facing difficulties. You realize that light is not just something you can see with your eyes. True light is something you feel from within. The peace in your soul, the comfort when you feel weak, the strength when you are about to fall. There are days when you walk through life like a light rain, unclear, not too strong, but enough to leave marks on your soul. On those days, you feel nothing but emptiness. You thought you had found what you needed, but whenever you question the purpose of life, you find no clear answers. Occasionally, you still look up at the dark sky, wondering if there will ever be a day when you see true light. But then, right when you doubt the most, a strange feeling arises, like a gentle reminder. Even though you cannot see the light, you can still feel it. That feeling is like an invisible embrace wrapping around you, comforting and encouraging you. It seems that in those moments, you can hear unspoken words echoing in your soul. Trust in his guidance, For He is always with you, not to lead you out of the darkness, but to show you that the darkness is part of the journey. Even so, you never feel despair. In that darkness, you feel an extraordinary peace, as if something is watching over you, protecting you from all the shadows. There are times when you feel like you are standing on the edge, but a warm breeze comes, gently soothing you, making it impossible for you to give up. Although you cannot see the sunlight, you know you can still continue. Then one day, as you walk on the familiar path, amidst the light breeze and faint light, you realize that you have changed. Your steps are no longer heavy, and your heart is no longer anxious. Even though you can't clearly see the sunlight, you feel an invisible energy nurturing you from within, shapeless but full of power. One afternoon, as you stand by a river, watching the small waves gently caress the sandy shore, you suddenly realize that life is like that river. The constant movement, the waves that never repeat, but always have a direction, a destination you cannot see right now. It's the same as the light He has given you. It's not something you can see immediately, but it guides you through each step, each moment in life. The moments of doubt or fear have gradually become challenges you must face, not to overcome, but to understand that true strength does not come from conquering everything, but from accepting weaknesses and continuing even though you cannot see the path ahead. One afternoon, as you stand by a river, watching the small waves gently caress the shore, you suddenly realize that life is like that river. Constant movement, waves that never repeat, but always with a direction, a destination that you cannot see at this moment. Just like the light that Jesus has given you, it is not something that can be seen immediately, but it guides you through each step, each moment of life. That day, you did not feel deprived, nor did you feel lost, even though darkness might still surround you. Because you realize that, in those very shadows, His light becomes even clearer. He is not just the light when the sun is high, but the light in the moments when you feel discouraged, in the long sleepless nights, in the moments when you must face yourself. Then, one morning, when you step outside and look toward the horizon, you see the first rays of sunlight reaching out from afar. But strangely, they are not as dazzling as you imagined. Instead, they are a delicate, gentle light, enough to illuminate every corner of your soul. This light is not the sun breaking through the gloomy days, but the radiance from within you. You realize that, although at first you could not see the sun, He has always been the light in your life. Thank you for watching this video, and I am sure that God is watching over you and making this life feel more wonderful.